Welcome back. Eskom has announced that Unit 1 of the Medupi Power Station Project is finally operational after 14 years. But it will only reliably deliver power to the national grid at full capacity in 24 months. Eskom says Medupi has a planned 50-year operational life, but there are still glaring concerns about cost overruns that have run into hundreds of billions of rand.
Eskom describes the completion of Unit 1 as an investment that will serve generations of the people of South Africa and power the economy for at least the next half-century. It says Unit 1 was first synchronized to the national grid on the 27th of August. It also contributed to intermittent power to the country's electricity supply.
The planned life of this power station is 50 years. Eskom applauds Team Medupi, support teams and its execution partners for working tirelessly to ensure that the unit is handed over for commercial operation as planned by the end of July. This is an investment that will serve generations of the people of South Africa.
But partner at Mining and Energy Advisors Ted Blom says Eskom has no reason to celebrate as more still needs to be done.
They're not being wholly truthful because firstly they first have to fix up the balance of the units, the 5 units that were built under the wrong designs, and that's going to take quite a while, at least 2 years or if not longer. And then the second part that Eskom isn't telling the public is that they have not complied with the World Bank finance requirements, and that is to fit scrubbers onto those chimneys. So at the moment Medupi is one of the biggest polluters in the world.
There have been concerns about cost overruns associated with Medupi. Blom estimates that costs could go up to 300 billion rand. Eskom says the capital cost of the project is 122 billion rand so far, and it expects to spend under 135 billion rand on completing the plant.
The original quotation for Medupi was 34 billion rand. I saw that with my own eyes. After the first level of corruption, where Chancellor House was involved with the ANC's investment arm, and further messing around by Eskom executives, the price went up from 34 billion to roughly 70-odd billion rand. And that's the price at which the board then approved that project. As far as I'm aware, the total project, and it's not nearly completed yet. As I said, there's still lots of work that needs to be done. The scrubbers will cost about 80 billion rand. So my total cost to completion for Medupi will not be much short of 300 billion rand.
Eskom says it is yet to conclude technical solutions related to the boiler design defects on the balance of the plant. It says once these are completed in the next 2 years, only then will Medupi reliably deliver power to the national grid at full capacity. Diabo Seto, SABC News, Johannesburg.
So after 14 years, many hiccups and billions of rand in unforeseen cost escalations, Eskom says that Medupi Power Station in Limpopo is now complete. This means the last of its coal-fired generation units has come online 6 years after the first one. It's the world's largest dry-cooled coal-fired power station. Let's get a view now from the energy-intensive users group of Southern Africa, whose members are large corporations that account for over 40% of the energy consumed in South Africa. We're joined by the CEO, Fanele Mondi. Mr. Mondi, thank you for being with us. So this began in 2007. The costs escalated. The cost, some would say, more than 200 billion. And I remember at some point Eskom was weighing up, if it should actually complete this project, complete Medupi, or just walk away from all the costs that had been sunk. Do you think it was the right decision to move ahead?
Good afternoon, Francis, and to your viewers. I still think that it was a good decision because you will remember they had already invested quite a lot at the time. And from an energy security point of view, we still needed that energy. So it's not something you could just scrap aside. Their challenge really was a financial one than a need. The need has always been there, Francis.
Do you believe this will help reduce load shedding? Apparently it has been adding to the grid. It'll only rarely add to the grid in 24 months. Is there going to be a difference?
From an energy security point of view, commercial operation is indeed a significant milestone because it means now they are moving from a project mode to a generation mode in a commercial space. But from a load shedding point of view, that unit has always been contributing because it was first synchronized in 2019. So intermittently, it has been contributing. So I think it is true that it is a welcome addition, but it's not going to have a direct impact on the load shedding right now because, like I'm saying, it has been contributing. Yeah. I think the key challenge really is going to be the reliability. The reliability of those units at Medupi has not really been that high. So I think that's what we are going to face. We are likely to still continue with load shedding going forward.
One energy analyst, at least, has said that the units are not environmentally compliant. A lot of redesign will have to happen anyway. Is Eskom claiming completion too early here?
The way that project was planned, they planned upfront the actual running of the power station. The part which they still yet to do is what is called a flue gas desulfurization plant, FGD for short. So that one is still outstanding, and it is indeed quite a huge cost, but it was never part of the initial plan and budget. They've always been explicit that their budget are excluding that. Yeah. So yes, there is still that, and I understand that that was a condition of the World Bank in terms of giving that loan. So I think they are falling quite behind in that respect.
Mr. Mondi, overall, and I guess you're talking on behalf of your big members here that have a vested interest in secure, reliable energy being provided in South Africa. Are you happy with where Eskom is going, the fact that this has been completed? Are you happy with the communication around what's being done, of course, to deal with an incredible legacy from the past?
We're not happy. We acknowledge, however, the step that it is significant, but we're not happy because it's not going to change our situation right now. The challenge we have has not really been much of a higher demand. It has been mainly of the energy availability, which has been low from an Eskom point of view. So this is an additional measure, but purely because of the reliability of their plant. Then you have this intermittent load shedding, which my guess is that they will continue to happen because it's like I'm saying, for the last 2 years, that unit has always been contributing in the grid, not in a commercial sense, though.
So, yes, and you've stated that, but I mean, in terms of the bigger picture, there's also been moves where companies can generate more power, and the idea is that eventually everyone will feed into the grid. We'll have many different sources of power. Are you happy with Eskom and government moves of late generally?
I think with government, certainly the 100 megawatts, which was announced earlier by the president, is really most welcome. That will make a huge impact in terms of companies starting to build their own generation facilities or buying directly from IPPs. The second aspect is what the MRE has also initiated, where they went into a risk mitigation procurement program with the aim of attracting about 2,000 megawatts. So that additional generation will go a long way in terms of reducing chances of load shedding. Yeah. From an Eskom point of view, our concern is that the problems they have right now are really not that much of capacity or demand issues. They are of maintenance. Until they get their plant to perform at a level that is expected of a plant of their age, then we're still in trouble, because it's like I'm saying, even Medupi, as new as it is, it has been having unplanned outages ranging from 18% to 18% to about 39%. I mean, that's really not a good performance at all. Yeah. You have got much older stations which are performing far better than that. So there is still quite a lot of work that they need to do with regards to their maintenance. And lastly, obviously, what they've already declared is that they are working on those modifications. So those modifications hopefully will stabilize those units, but 24 months is quite a long time.
Yeah. So finally, what does this mean for companies, for people thinking of investing in South Africa? And you represent large corporations here. We're going to do a story looking at the Purchasing Managers Index, which is a gauge of the health of the manufacturing sector. It's dropped significantly, and power supply is one of the things that everybody has to factor in as they make decisions for coming months. What do you think responsible companies need to be factoring in terms of power? I guess you're suggesting that not much will change for quite a while.
This has always been a challenge for us, because like you're correctly saying, is that big investors, they want certainty. We've had, I think, mainly two challenges. One is the price certainty, which has always not been there, which is not doing us any good as a country. The second one is the reliability. I mean, any investor who wants to come in here, he wants to know that there is a security of energy. So we are under a severe challenge. And lately, now we are talking about decarbonization. As you know, most of our electricity is really reliant on fossil fuels, and that is also going to be another challenge. But I think from a policy point of view, we are seeing changes in terms of balancing the energy mix, but it is going to take a while. But with the policies which have been announced, we're waiting for Schedule 2 update, which I suppose will be announced. I think that will assist in terms of giving some level of confidence to investors if they know that they can come in here, invest in 100 megawatts and then have their operations up and running. But the situation overall, we are still not in a good space as a country with regards to energy.
All right, thank you for that view. That was Fanele Mondi, CEO of the Intensive Energy Users Group of Southern Africa, representing those big companies using a lot of energy in South Africa. And we